Greetings and grace. Hey, is your love stronger than hate? No, really. Is your love stronger than hate? I know mine is. By the way, you guys can get this t-shirt, hoodies, and a whole bunch more right at pricelessfaithwear.com. This was one of my first t-shirt designs that I came out with, and just to kind of gauge, this is a small, and I still got some room up in here. So just let you know, rock it on out. Let's get it, y'all. Okay, so thank you for being here. I pray that you are well, you are restored. We are continuing on in the book of Ecclesiastes, talking about the times, because there's a time and a season for everything. So, as you already know, let's get on into it. Okay. All right. So, Ecclesiastes chapter 3, a time for everything. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to uproot, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to tear down and a time to build, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to scatter stones and a time to gather them, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has lain, like, excuse me, my apologies, y'all. What do workers gain from their toil? I have seen the burden God has laid on the human race. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has made everything beautiful in its time. I like to read it three times. One more time, y'all. He has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart. Yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God. I know that everything God does will endure forever. Nothing can be added to it and nothing taken from it. God does it so that people will fear him. Whatever is has already been, and what will be has been before, and God will call the past to account. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. In the place of justice, wickedness was there. I said to myself, God will bring into judgment both the righteous and the wicked, for there will be a time for every activity and a time to judge every deed. And scroll all the way down to the last verse. So I saw that there is nothing better for a person than to enjoy their work, because that is their lot. For who can bring them to see what will happen after them? All right. So today, y'all, we are talking about love and hate, a time to love and a time to hate specifically. And not only that, we are talking about love being stronger than hate. Remember, we've been talking about love, we've been talking about hate and everything like that, but we're going to get on into the definitions. All right. So love, a strong feeling of affection and concern toward another person, as that arising from kinship or close friendship, a strong feeling of affection or concern for another person accompanied by sexual attraction, a feeling of devotion or adoration toward God or toward God or a God, a feeling of kindness or concern by God or a God toward humans. Often love, Christianity, charity, sexual desire, activity, an instance of being in love, a person for whom has strong feelings of affection, used as a term of endearment for such a person, an intense emotional attachment to something as to a pet or treasured object, an expression of one's affection, a strong predilection or enthusiasm. Oh yeah, love language. Yeah, love of language. The object of such an enthusiasm. So, there's a whole, that's love. But hold on one second. We're gonna look up hate, and we're gonna get into some deep and some next level stuff. Hate, to feel strong dislike for hostility toward, to feel dislike or distaste for, to be dis to be disinclined to do something out of politeness or need to apologize, to feel hatred, intense animosity or dislike hatred, to ridicule, insult, or act hatefully toward. Okay, so make sure everything good. So we are going to continue. Just one moment. So as you guys can see, there's a whole lot, and there's a huge difference, right? Strong dislike, distaste, to be disinclined to do something out of politeness or a need to apologize, to ridicule, insult, or act hatefully toward, um, to dislike something intensely, detest, to be unwilling to be or do something. Hey, do love, be love, y'all. Intense dislike, informal or person or thing that is hated, expressing or arousing feelings of hatred. Wow. To dislike intensely or passionately, to feel extreme aversion for or extreme hostility towards, detest, to be unwilling, to feel hatred, right? Intense dislike, extreme aversion or hostility. So I'm gonna, we're gonna pull up aversion real quick. A fixed, intense dislike, repugnance. Wow, the cause or object of such a feeling. The avoidance of a thing, situation, or behavior because it has been associated with an unpleasant or painful stimulus. The act or fact of averting. Wow, that's deep, y'all. All right, so as you already know, we are going to get into the word some more, and we are going to share this tab. You guys can see it right on. This is today's dailyblessing.com. And I grew up learning that there's 4 types of love, but it turns out that there is 7. So I'm going to go on ahead and read this because I love that they included scripture right within it. All right, so they're talking about Valentine's Day, so we're just going to keep going. Okay, so number 1, agape, which means unconditional. Yes, means love. So it's a Greek word, means love or goodwill. It is also used when describing benevolence or in esteem. Jesus spoke of this type of love in the following verse. By this, all people will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another. And that is John chapter 13, verse 35. Then we've got phileo. And in this one means to love. It is used when describing friendship or affection. Cherish her, to say, I kiss. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself is doing, and greater works than these will he show him, so that you may marvel. John 5, verse 20. Then Philadelphia. Wow. Means brotherly love, the love of brothers, the love of Christian brethren. Love one another with brotherly affection, outdo one another in showing honor. According to Romans chapter 12, verse 10. And then we've got philandros and philotechnos. Philandros and philotechnos. Okay, philandros and philotechnos. Philandros means a loving man. Okay, describes a word loving man or a wife loving her husband, right? Then we've got the philotechnos, referring to loving one's children, a Greek word referring to loving one's children, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children. Titus chapter 2, verse 4. And so train the young women to love their husbands and children. And that's Titus chapter 2, verse 4. Then there's agapio. Agapio. Hold on one second. Okay. All right. Agapio, excuse me, y'all. And that means to love as well as to wish well, take pleasure in, long for, denotes the love of reason, esteem, or used when saying, I love. You have heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies and pray for those who persecute you. According to Matthew chapter 5, verses 43 through 44. Then there's philagathos. Philagathos is a Greek word meaning loving that which is good. Rather, he must be hospitable, one who loves what is good, who is self-controlled, upright, holy, and disciplined. According to Titus chapter 1, verse 8. I like this one. See, I didn't know this one. I like this one. Come through, philanthropists. All right, philanthropists. All right. And then there's right on. I love this even more. Philanthropia. Almost like a utopia. Philanthropia, Greek word referring to love for mankind, benevolence, kindness. But after that, the kindness and love of God, our Savior, toward man appeared. Titus chapter 3, verse 4. Oh, I can't wait to read book of Titus. I feel like I read it many years ago, but I don't recall too much. And I need to, that's why we got to continuously read again. And the barbarous people showed us no little kindness, for they kindled a fire and received us every one because of the present rain and because of the cold, according to Acts chapter 28, verse 2. So that is where it's at. So you guys, this again is today's dailyblessing.com. So next up, we are going to talk about understanding hate. And this one's on Psychology Today. And I think this is really good because, to have the ability to see, right, deeper and beyond is extremely important. It allows you to see things in a way that other people cannot, and it allows you to be a step ahead when you think about it. All right, so we're going to talk about it. So, 9 insights. They're talking about hate is often misunderstood. This is very true. A lot of times people are going through stuff, to be honest with you. It seems easier to hate groups than individuals. Y'all know those groups. There are huge groups out there, and they will hate a particular type of group or a particular type of people. They would generalize instead of looking at the human person, instead of looking at the principles that everybody should honestly be operating in, whether you like them or not, right? What are the principles people are living by? That is really, really good. The differences between hate, anger, and contempt. I like that. They're putting the differences. Let's read that real quick. The theoretical difference between hate and anger is that hate involves the whole individual group and not a particular aspect of the individual group. You hate someone because of what they are, and you are angry at someone because of what they did. Anger, thus, can be considered more in terms of behavior. When people are angry at someone, they often have the feeling that they can control the other person. Anger essentially is trying to remove the obstacle posed by the other person when you want to reach a goal. You get angry when you want an apology, when you want someone to change their behavior, etc. Remember, the Bible tells us to be angry and sin not. So that's why meditation comes into play. When there is repeated anger and nothing changes, contempt may arise. Contempt is a feeling like the other person is not worth your anger. You are still angry, but you are trying to regulate your anger by looking down on the other person and putting a distance between you. And I don't know if it necessarily could it be looking down. So let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, time out. Okay. Contempt versus hate. Contempt is the cold version of hate. Like hate. Contempt is about who you are, your nature, and your personality. When you feel contempt, you tend to feel they're not even worth your attention, which I think might make it feel worse to the object of someone's contempt rather than it does to be the object of hate. With hate, you cannot be indifferent toward the person. You are more engaged because you want to get rid of them, whether socially, mentally, or physically. Wow, contempt is kind of deep. Hate spreads fast, spreads easier than anger. That is very true. Yeah, wow. Hate can spread from one generation to another much easier than anger, frustration. For an example, when we asked people who had experienced a war themselves and 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 people who only had heard about it from other stories, the amount of reported hate was the same for both groups. This means that not only people hate others based on someone else's experiences, but that hate can be as intense as if they had experienced the event themselves. Ooh, this is why you gotta be careful who you talk to, man. Like this was not the case with anger, which tends to be more intense if you experience the anger causing event firsthand. Wow, that's deep. And that's how hate groups start. Psychology of hate, unlike anger, there's no physiological pattern that is a characteristic of hate because hate is a long term experience. Someone can do something to make you immediately angry, but usually you need more information to hate someone. In the heat of the moment, however, the arousal patterns of hate in the brain and the body may be similar to anger. Wow. And so they have dealing with hate. There's a lot of confusion about hate. What it really means if people realize that hate is something much bigger that in it that it includes the desire to eliminate others. Maybe they would change the way they use the word. It takes emotional intelligence to discern between feelings, but it is something that can be developed, perhaps making people understand what they are actually thinking and feeling and why when they say I hate you or disentangling the different ingredients of their negative emotions might be helpful. For example, you could say, I know you're saying I hate you, which means that there's nothing positive that you can detect about this person or group. Nothing okay, which means that there's nothing positive that you can detect about this person or group, nothing that you have in common. Is this really true? I think it's better to not let your emotions reach the level of hate. I agree. And to start working on them while you are still angry. If it doesn't work, consider whether you still want that relationship. Hate can dissolve over time if the hated individual group leaves your life, changes completely, or if you can work on changing the way you think about them. But don't count on it happening from one day to another. One needs to work on the disappearance of hate, like one has to work on maintaining love. This is excellent, and this is by what's her name? Mariana uh Pogosayan, PhD. And she definitely shared a lot of stuff in there that's definitely important because that there's something that wasn't addressed a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? If someone has that deep feelings of resentment and things like that. So like if you find yourself resenting, I really want to encourage you to actually have those conversations, you know what I'm saying? Create the safe space, be like, hey, you know what? I would love to have a heart to heart with you, because hatred, that's, that is the next level. And then contempt, we just learned, that's even worse. And to be honest with you, I have been, I have done it. And you know what I'm saying? I've been somebody that has done. I did, someone was really, really rude. And I realized that they didn't care, so I just acted like they didn't exist. I poof, like completely just poof, like didn't act like they didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? Would walk by them like they didn't exist. And I know it was hurtful. And that was because I was hurt. And I'm not saying it was right, because it wasn't. And you really have to talk to God and seek God when you are in a stage of unforgiveness, or when your heart feels hardened. Because right, how can we say we love God but then we can do things like that? So we have to be extremely careful when we're going through our healing processes, and when we're trying to have the conversations, but ultimately make the decision, what's going to be healthier. Is it loving them from a distance and then just keeping it at that, or can things be fixed, and so, find out, if those things can happen. Talk to somebody, get a mediator. And this one is mindbodygreen.com, 14 ways to be a more kind and loving person. So we're just going to kind of zoom through these. Be more easygoing on the road. I think that's really good. You know what I'm saying? Instead of calling somebody an a-hole or whatever, just be like, come on, baby. Or, just be like, it's all good. Say thank you, because a lot of times, and I'm not saying all the time, but there are times where people are in fact having emergencies, and they're just trying to get to wherever it is they got to get to. But then there are a lot more times, I would say, maybe, I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, people are probably late to something that they should have gotten ready for ahead of time, and better manage their time. But still, get to your destination, get to it safely. That's what matters. Point A, point B. People are going to drive crazy regardless. So, you know what I'm saying? Let that go. Number two, connect with others, even if it's just for a moment. I like that. Yes, it could be with strangers on the street. Yes. Look, okay. I used to I used to do this thing, and I would literally just be like, "Oh my gosh." I would be in the car. "Oh my gosh." Like if somebody looks sad, I'd be like, "Oh my gosh." And I'm like waving at them, right? And they'll look at me. I'm like, oh my gosh, roll your window down. And I'm like, are you Mrs. Johnson? Or are you Mr. Jones? Just random, random. Then they'd be like, no. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I thought you were my teacher from high school. I'm like, dang, that's so embarrassing. Like I put myself in a position to where I look goofy, thinking that they were someone else, and it made them smile. And I recently saw something, and it made me upset, because I'm like, okay, it's one thing to teach your son that you can make somebody's day, but it's another thing to be like, hey, you see that ugly hat? And then like he told his son, you see that ugly hat? And his son was like, yeah. He said, hey, sir, you look great in your hat. And like the guy smiled, but like he just told his son that there was an ugly hat. Like you got to find something else to compliment people on. And so the person who posted that ended up turning the comments off, because a lot of us were like, why in the world did you use the word ugly? And I was like, this is some Regina George stuff. And I know that what I would say technically would be a lie. Like I knew they're not Mrs. Johnson or Mr. Jones. I just really wanted to see them smile. And I made myself look like, like goofy or dumb or whatever. So what are your thoughts on that? And you know what, there was one time I was leaving the store, and I was like waving to somebody random, and she really, like, she left out the store to really try to figure out where we knew each other from. We didn't know each other. I was like, I won't do that in person no more, because she was really trying to figure it out. Oh my lord. Oh, to be young. Okay, number three, share a laugh. Laughter is everything. Laughter is medicine. We done talked about it. Look, remember the time to weep and the time to laugh? Take a look at that one. I love that one. All right, smile like you mean it. Smile like you mean it, and you eventually will. Remember, it changes your brain for healthier stuff. Stop and smell the gratitude. The kindness will follow. Yes, contentment, peace. Appreciate what you have each and every single day. Yes, your feelings and emotions and the things that you go through, they matter. Honor them. You know what I'm saying? Find a healthy way to express what it is that you feel. But man, be grateful, be grateful. Because I don't think it's gratitudious. I'm not sure. Number six, be aware of your power. Yes, who you are and how you're feeling, right? Especially if you are, you know what I'm saying, you're someone who you may consider yourself spiritual, prophetic, whatever, right? You exude who you are. Your feelings, or your the spirit on the inside of you is amplified. You know, we talk about the fruit of the spirit: love, joy, peace, patience, gentleness, self-control, kindness, right? So, right, who you are, what's on the inside of you is amplified, especially for those of us who love God, right? So there is a power that we have that exudes from us. Learn to listen. Listening is so important. Hey, it's more important than talking. Number eight, connect in person, not just over text or social media. This is very true. This is very true. And that is a sign for me to go on ahead and make some dates with my friends, because it's been a long time. I do need to get out. I do need to go have some fun. Be kind to yourself. Yes, self-love matters. Remember, look yourself in the mirror, tell yourself you love yourself. Keep your kindness to yourself. Just do it, then zip it. Kindness is, oh, okay. Oh, okay. Kindness isn't about showing off or telling the world what a sweetheart you are. Just do it quietly, without fanfare. I found out somewhat accidentally that one of my patients has been quietly delivering meals to homebound people several times a week for over a decade. Turns out not even his closest friends know about his volunteer work, and that's just the way he likes it. I love that. Yes, come on with it, y'all. Look, over the years, there's stuff that I've done and I haven't shared. I want to encourage you guys to do things like that. Do it. You know what I'm saying? Make somebody's day. I love that. I love that. Number 11, know your limits. Yes, boundaries matter. You don't want to give and not have anything. You know what I'm saying? Then you leave yourself empty. Practice unconditional kindness. You don't want nothing in return. Come on, do it. Do it. Do it. Put yourself in the other person's shoes. Empathy is beautiful. When they're sharing stuff with you, think about how you would feel if that were you. That is empathy. And then be compassionate towards them. Number 14, experiment with letting compliments flow. If you see somebody, they look good, be like, you look really good today, or you look really pretty, you look very handsome. I ain't trying to hit on you, but you look very handsome. You know what I'm saying? Say stuff like that and just be kind, because you know what, people are going through a whole lot of stuff. We're in the post pandemic, and a lot of people need love, they need kindness, and they need that. All right, so be that person. And I'm gonna share a quick story with you before we close. So when I was in Houston, and it was around the time we started to see a lot of what was happening with the people in my community, my brothers, right? When it came to the cops and my brothers, stuff that's already existed, it's just now being televised, right? It was a huge adjustment. And I remember driving and going to the stores in Houston, and you could feel the tension between black and white people, like in the stores. And so I intentionally made sure that I had to work through what was in my heart, because I'm like, man, bump everybody. I ain't feeling this. It's not right. And there's this war. People are talking about that's not racist. And I'm like, baby, if you fear for your life, you cannot serve and protect me. You can't serve and protect anybody. Because how you feel for your life, you the one with the gun. If you fear for your life, you shouldn't have a gun, because you don't know how to de-escalate a situation. Fun fact: there are 5 steps. Okay, I'm a before you even pull the trigger. There are 5 things four things you're supposed to do. The fifth one is when you pull the trigger. When you pull the gun, you actually have to shoot to kill. Okay, so look, there's a whole lot of stuff I could get into it, but we don't got to get into it. But anyway, that's why, you know what I'm saying, I've got the My Love Is Stronger Than Your Hate design. You know what I'm saying? With the Colin Kaepernick and the whole situation with the NFL, this inspired me. With Nike and everything, this inspired me to design this. So, you know, God is good. Holy Spirit dropped it in my spirit. And I said, okay, Jesus, I got you. We finna rock this out. And a lot of people love this. There's a lot of people that have it. I'm talking hoodies. The black one, the black hoodie that you see me in a meditation, that's my grandmother's and everything like that. And so I just want to encourage you guys to really speak louder. Your love needs to be louder than everybody's hate. And if you are a good person, you need to speak up. You need to speak up. Again, you need to speak up. There's only a small percentage of people who are doing hateful things, but more of us need to speak up, because there are even cops, good cops, that have come forward, and they're being treated hatefully by bad cops. You know what I'm saying? Like they like good cops have come forward about corruption in their own precinct, and the cops in that precinct have given them and their family death threats. That is a problem. And what's wild is there's such a small percentage of hate. So you guys be encouraged, love more, hate less. Ask God to come into your heart. You know what I'm saying? Protect your heart, guard your heart above all else, right? That is Bible. But find healthy ways to love on others. All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys for being here. I'm excited. Look, tell me how you're gonna help and love on others below. Tell me which one was your favorite version of love, and then tell me how you're gonna, talk to people in the comments. All right, talk